we are gonna talk about happiness, happy more. We are gonna talk about happiness as a new book notes article, and I really am looking forward to it because it is a 10 out of 10, which is an amazing thing for Derek Sivers, because we are once again on the Sivers.org site. But it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be really fucking amazing. Yeah. Really, it's gonna be. I really hope, at least. And I also, by the way, hope that I haven't gone through it already, because I've gone through so much fucking stuff, and it is indeed also a pretty quote-unquote common topic, I would say, like the whole happiness thing, and then how we get happy and why we're happy and all these things. Like, there's multiple books that he also went through on that topic, but I assume that this is actually a pretty good one, since, as I said, like, it is a 10 out of 10, which is an insane thing. It is called Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. If I haven't said this already, I really don't know. Yeah. So, not all new AG, as the title might suggest. Harvard professor of psychology has studied happiness for years and shares factual findings that will change the way you look at the world, which is definitely, I think, always something good. Like, just changing how you see the world and changing what is going on in the world. It's a top tier fucking lit thing, Pretty cool. I enjoyed it. He, and this is maybe a little bit of a drawback if you want to, but he read the book in 2007, which is like 13 years ago. Yes, it took me so long to calculate that. Don't fucking judge me. Well, anyway, I think we're just gonna go ahead, and as always, I try to summarize it and put it down into a PDF, and the PDF you can then just download and whatnot. The links are in the description. By the way, check out the description. It's a really important thing. What the fuck? Go away. Thank you. So the first one, because we should actually start from the... I just do not want to take the risk of, okay, maybe it is actually structured in some way from just the beginning to the end of the book. So maybe I should also keep that kind of low-key, but I don't know. How much of what you... How much of what you do is for now, and how much is to please the future you? Like, 70% I think is for the future. And I'm seeing this as well for me. Like, I'm recording as well for my future, And also because I feel good this day. I really don't feel good if I just am not productive, if I'm just doing nothing all day fucking long and play video games. I would really feel not good. Therefore, I'm also not doing it, What's the point of doing this then, We do good things in the charitable service of the people we will soon become. We treat our future selves as though they were our children, constructing tomorrows that we hope will make them happy. Yes, but I think and guess we should really underline hope, because we don't know. Like, in the end, we don't know. But of course, if you're happy, if you're healthy and relatively wealthy, but especially healthy and just in various differences, in various differences, in various different ways, whether it be your relationship, whether it is actually your actual health, I think that then you're just probably also gonna feel good. Of course, if you are just pretty fucked and unhealthy and you have multiple diseases and shit, it's not gonna be that good for your happiness, You're not gonna be the happiest person then. I guess, at least, as I can assume, actually. The human being is the only animal that thinks about the future. Have I gone through this already? Should I look it up? Actually do not want to. Stumbling on Happiness. Even if it's probably good. Let's just go through it once again. Because I've probably forgotten about it. And the video's probably not been that of a quote-unquote famous one. Therefore, I'm gonna do it once again. And yes, indeed, I think, I don't know. Even though, the problem that I'm seeing there, if this is actually the case, can I please? Thank you. The problem that I would actually see there then is that if you, for example, are, if you are a lion and you just catch a deer or catch something else, an antelope, and you eat it right ahead because you do not think about the future and think well, maybe I also need some food for tomorrow, then you're fucking dumb as motherfucking piece of shit. Kind of, because but I do believe that lions are not really doing this. I do believe that some animals for sure are having just some food. I know that they're quite smart about not dying, I guess. I assume, at least. I don't know, I'm not a biologist or something. Or zoologist? Never mind. The greatest achievement of the human brain is its ability to imagine objects and episodes that do not exist in the realm of the real, and it is this ability that allows us to think about the future. Yeah, kind of makes sense. The human brain is an anticipation machine, and making future is the most important thing it does. I think it is very important to point out that it is making future. Without a brain, we would not have a future. So if we think about it, and this is like a pretty philosophical thing, and it's so communication design, what we are doing in school in communication design, it's most often about some philosophical things. But without a brain, without the perception without being able to think about the future, there would not be any future. So you could say that, first of all, language creates change and creates the world, but also therefore then also thoughts, kind of. But yeah, indeed, if I can't think about the future, there's also not going to be a future. If I can't think of, the question now is, like, if language really shapes the world, this is really the case, like, if I just look at my arms and stuff and say, and don't know that this is an arm, it's still an arm. And this is a really really big problem I'm having with the whole concept of, okay, language creates the reality. Yes, of course, yes, somehow, but it's still there. Even though it's not there, if I can't just name it. It's not an arm. The arm is not, I think I get it. I mean, if I say like this is, of course I could also call this table, and I could call this hat, and I could call this ink thingy thing chair. I could, but then I don't have this smelly smell thing, this, I don't actually know what it's called, but it's obviously, I think, not called smelly smell thing, or just room spray. I'm going to call it room spray. If I don't say that this is a room spray, then it's also not going to be there quite, because I'm going to call it somehow differently. But the room spray per se is not going to be there because I haven't called it like, if this makes sense, I hope. Volunteers imagine themselves requesting a date with a person on whom they had a major crush, and those who had the most elaborate and delicious fantasies about approaching their heartthrob were least likely to do so over the next few months. The least, pretty interesting. To do so, maybe because you also, by thinking about that, think about the future as well, and think about like, what if I do this? What would happen if I fucked that up? Possibility is 50-50. What do? You're just completely fucked if this just backfires. You're actually not, because it's just a person and it's just life. It's just what it is. Not that, and it's actually not that big of a deal, even though we think that it's one and only person that's there and stuff like that. Like yes, kind of, unless there is a just twin or something, but therefore also not really. When people find it easy to imagine an event, they overestimate the likelihood that it will occur. Because we get more practice imagining good events than bad events, we overestimate the likelihood that good events will actually happen to us, which leads us to be unrealistically optimistic about our future. I think we can't, or you can't, and we shouldn't be generalizing that. I think that there is just a ton of people that are thinking in negative terms all the fucking time. This is a part of the reason why I'm fucking here. Like, I just want to spread happiness and positivity and good feelings. Yes, good feelings. Well done. Perfect words. When people find it easy to imagine an event, they overestimate the likelihood that it will occur, and I've already read that. Congratulations. Although citizens of other nations are not as optimistic as Americans, which is, by the way, something that I often have to think about. Like, there is going to be some nations, there is going to be some countries where the people are just so massively fucking pessimistic just because it's their culture. And maybe it's also because of language. I do believe that English per se is a relatively positive language. I guess. I have a feeling. I don't know why I have a feeling. But if you compare it to German, which is, I think, a pretty harsh and a pretty, well, you can call it pretty, but I think it's not that of a pretty language. I mean, danke, bitte. So if we compare it to thanks, please, bitte, please, bitte. It's more like do it, kind of. That there actually must be some sort of not really university. How do you call, like, you could, I think you can study this. Or there is maybe a study also already on that. Well, never mind. Fear, worry, and anxiety have useful roles to play in our lives, yes. We motivate by dramatizing the unpleasant consequences of misbehaviors by imagining the unpleasant tomorrows. We motivate by dramatizing the unpleasant consequences of misbehavior. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Even though, I mean, fear, worry, and anxiety, they might be useful for some things as a do you say counterpart of something? Or are we just using it somehow? Even though, like, there's also a lot of ways why, or reasons why just fear is such a fucked up thing, and we don't really need it because, yeah, of course, back in the days it helped us to survive and not die, but nowadays it is like, it is there, and sometimes it's pissing us off because we are feared of some stupid shit and stuff, and yeah. The most important reason why our brains insist on simulating the future is that our brains want to control the experience we are about to have. Which I think makes sense, so that we're not getting traumatized or some shit. If we lose our ability to control things, we become unhappy, helpless, hopeless, and depressed. Yes, I think so. This is, I think realizing that could change a lot for many, many, many people. Because, I mean, like, everything starts with, okay, yeah, even though I thought about just work, because you're working for somebody else, therefore you're not really in control, even though you are in control of what you're doing. At this point in time as well, just because I have to think about it, we're not really in control of just what is going on, at least not the majority of the people, even though somehow, like, if I just say, like, okay, just stay at home, this is some sort of control, I think. Even though, like, there's always going to be a bigger thing, and it's always not going to be in our control. So yeah, and I think it's also just a good way to mention that, see that, and then decide to just be okay with not being in control of everything, I guess. People often act as though they can control the uncontrollable. People bet more money on games of chance when their opponents seem incompetent than competent. Pretty interesting, as though they believed they could control the random drawing of cards from a deck and thus take advantage of a weak opponent. People feel more certain that they will win a lottery if they can control the number of that ticket. And they feel more confident that they will win a dice toss if they can throw the dice themselves. Yes, indeed, even though the chance is completely the same. People will wager more money on dice that have not yet been tossed than one dice that have already been tossed but whose outcome is not yet known. Yes. Maybe it's also the fear of just being fucked over and stuff. I know. And they will be more if they rather they will bet more, They will bet more if they, rather than someone else, are allowed to dice which number will count as a win. All of these are absolutely absurd if they believed they had no control over an uncontrollable event. Like, chances, possibilities, chances are still the same. No matter you say this and that, it's always going to be 1 out of a 6th or 1/6 of a chance of just the dice's side number that is there or something. I don't know. No, it's actually indeed 1/6. Subjectivity. The fact that experience is unobservable to everyone but the person having it. Yes, indeed. And it is also a fucked up thing. Like, I mean, indeed, like, there's a lot of fucked up things. But there's also a lot of beautiful things. Like, life per se is a beautiful thing. You not being a tree is also a pretty beautiful thing. Like, just imagine, like, staying outside there, whether it is raining, snowing, storming, thunderbolting, whatever. You're always outside. And you're always standing there, and you can't do shit. You maybe can breathe, I don't know, and absorb some fucking carbon dioxide or dioxide, however. But that's quite it. Now you're just not doing more than that. No one knows what happiness really is. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Remember yellow. 73% of people not describing a remembered color remembered it. What the fucking hell? Remembering yellow, maybe. 73% of people not describing a remembered color remembered it. Only 33% of those that described it in between remembered it. Describing the color impaired rather than improved performance. Verbal descriptions overrode their memories. I see. Which is pretty interesting. I just have to kind of think in my mind, obviously maybe, how, if I've also done that, and how we could actually use this as a just way to improve things, whatever it might be, our thoughts maybe. No one knows what happiness really is. Therefore, we should never say we are happy until we are dead, because otherwise, if the real thing ever does come along, we will have used up the word and won't have any way to tell the newspaper about it. Which the first time I read this, and I think it's actually been the one sentence that I've read about the whole one, I had to really because yes, words. Yeah, I mean, indeed, like words indeed create reality, isn't it the case? Volunteers showed quiz show questions and asked to estimate the likelihood that they could answer them correctly. Volunteers who saw only the questions thought they were difficult. Volunteers who saw both the questions and the answers believed they could have answered the questions easily had they never seen the answers at all. Like, yeah, yes, totally. I know this is, yeah, totally the case. If you have the answers, you think that you're fucking God or some shit, even though you're just not. Once we have an experience, we cannot simply set it aside and see the world as we would have seen it had the experience never happened. This is a cool sentence. The jury cannot disregard the prosecutor's snide remarks. Yes, indeed. Like, I think to all of these things that he's talking about there's probably like a way to just use it in life. Just because they talk about a jury, if you, I don't know, therefore if you mess up when it is, I don't know, a singing competition, just have to think about it. If it is a singing competition, and you mess up and you just whatever, then I don't know. Is it then way worse? Like, of course it is worse if you mess up a bit, but would they have, never mind. To say an experience that once brought me pleasure no longer does. What? To say an experience that once brought me pleasure no longer does. A man given a drink of water in the desert may rate his happiness at the moment as an 8 out of 10, 8 out of 8. A year later, that same drink might make him feel no better than 2 out of 8. Are we to believe he was wrong about how happy he was in the desert, or that a sip of water can be a source of ecstasy or a source of moisture, depending on one's experimental background? I think it always comes up to your background and just other stuff. Like, some people might see beauty in water, and some people might just only see water and just resource and stuff, I would say. And the last one for today, and I'm also actually gonna highlight this one that I know where I have stopped. Thank you for letting me be able to do so. Very kind of you. Now it is working. The moment we encounter an object, our brains instantly analyze just a few of its key features and then use the presence or absence of these features to make one very fast, simple decision. Is this object an important thing to which I ought to respond right now? If it is not, we're probably not gonna respond there, I guess. But yeah, it's a question of today. It's kind of low. Motherfucker. It's loading and it's loading. I by the way wonder how much time that I've just in total spent here sitting just because it's fucking loading. Anyway, the question of today. The question of the day is, let me think, and use my Dragon Ball Z. I always wondered why they do this, by the way. My Dragon Ball Z powers in my head, for the podcast listeners, using my index finger and my middle finger, and put it on my, what's it called? Is it called sleeve? Nah. No, it's not called sleeve, I guess. Not quite sure. I put it on my head, let's do it like this, and I just imagine things. I just now imagine like flowers and like just area of flowers in a center, and you can buy them. Well, never mind. What did I actually want to say? I started with something. Are you happy? This is the question for today. Are you happy? And if you're not, think about the things or the reasons why you're not happy. If you don't know, then try to figure it out by asking yourself even more questions like, what could it be? What did I do today? Or what did I didn't do today that normally makes me a lot of happy or hella happy? Hella lit and hella happy. And yeah, figure that out, because I believe it's just an important thing. It's just a cool, important, necessary, and amazing thing to know, think about, remember, all those things. Yeah, I believe that. And yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back. No, it's not hello and welcome back, but I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to see you next time. So I'll see you. And I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And what the fuck is going on today? 3 other questions that I have here are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions, by the way. Pretty interesting fact. Some people, this is how I tell you I want to have 3 beer. This is how I do it. I know that some people are doing it like this. By the way, it's actually not that of a bad thing, but I don't do it. This has something to do with culture. I think Americans are doing it in that way. Europeans are probably going to do it in this way, even though I'm not quite sure. There might also be some people that are doing it in that way. I would also say 2 like this, the peace thing. And most people, or some people would actually kind of also do it like this. Even though this is kind of really not nice for me, this is nice. I'm used to that. Well, anyway, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And yeah, really thank you. Indeed, really, really, really thank you. I'll see you. Wrong one. Thank you.